welcome to Sarah's Stamping Sheet. Today I thought we could focus on creating some dimension with our dies, and I'm going to do a bit of a Christmas in July theme and use some gorgeous dies that I was gifted by Spellbinders. So let me quickly show you the dies that we're going to use. So the first one is the bottle and brush tree dies. So you can see they're really pretty two-piece trees. I'm really excited to show you how to make some dimension with these. Then we've got the gorgeous Santas here, and that makes that really nice Santa Claus. That's just the right size to kind of fill your card front, and it's really detailed. And then we've got the Christmas bird poinsettia, so you can see that's got all those lovely kind of florals and the leaves and branches to go with it, and then you've got that candy cane as well and the bird. I think that's a really nice one as well that could all be used separately as well. Like you could use the candy cane on different cards, you could use the bird on different cards, you could use the floral. So there's loads of different ways that you can use that, I think. And then the final thing that we're going to be using is this Christmas die and glimmer sentiments. And I've never seen these before actually. They use like a combination of glimmer and die cutting to create quite a different look for your sentiments. So I'm going to start off with these bottle brush dies, and there is a base to go with these, but I'm not going to use it today. I'm just going to use them like this. So I've cut the base in like a darker kind of teal colour and the top piece in slightly lighter colour. I'm just going to bend these up around that central part. And I think this gives a really nice dimension. If you don't want them to kind of stick up like that, you can kind of bend them round with your fingers as well so that they kind of have a bit of a curve to them. And you can see that already that just really makes a difference to that. Rather than it sitting flat, it just looks really cool with those leaves kind of sticking up a little. So to allow that to continue to stick up, I'm only going to glue it on down this central spine. And the glue all kind of came out in a rush a bit there, so I've got a bit of extra glue on there, but that'll dry clear, so I'm not worried about it. So I've cut one of the larger ones, and then I've cut two of these smaller ones, and I'm just going to put them all together in the exact same way. So then I'm going to move on to my sentiments. So you can see I'm going to use the Season's Greetings. So I've got the Seasons cut here in gold foil sheet, so that goes here, and then the space for this hot foil sentiment piece to go here. So I'm going to add on a piece of my gold foil, and then I'm going to add on my sentiment. And I'm actually going to do two sentiments at the same time to save a bit of time. So I've got this Merry, which comes with the Christmas, that I'm going to use for a card in a minute. So I'm going to do that at the same time. So the foil goes on so that you can see the foil colour, and then the foil plate goes on so that the writing side is down. So you should only be able to see the flat piece of the plate. And then my machine's heated up, I can tell that because the green light's on. So I'm going to put these so that the foil plate's at the bottom. And actually I'm going to turn them that way because it works better in the machine if they're lengthways rather than crossways. I'm just going to put the timer on, and when that finishes flashing, then it will be ready to go through my die cutting machine. So now that it's up to temperature, so that stopped flashing, then I can just put on the two plates that come with my glimmer machine, and then I can run it through my die cutting machine. And then I can just take the tape off, and that reveals my sentiment. You can see this Christmas is ever so slightly wonky. So I'm going to try and save that by just kind of cutting down a little bit so that the piece that kind of contains the Christmas is aligned with the Christmas. And then I think because this writing that goes with it is not really that straight anyway, like it's designed to be kind of scripty, then you won't really notice anymore. So I'm going to stick with that. If it had gone much more, then I'd have just tried again, but I do like to save things where I can. So set that aside for use on next card. And then for this one, I'm just going to peel the backing off this seasons because I put a bit of adhesive sheet on the back of there before I die cut it. Because this is such a fine script, it would have been really difficult to glue on. And this one turned out perfectly. So then I've got a red 5x5 card base, and then I've got a piece of gold foil cardstock that is 4.5 inches square, and then I've got a piece of red to go on top of this that is 4.25 inches square. So then I'm going to glue on these smaller trees. And I'm going to use fine threads behind this bigger one. And then I'm going to add on the sentiment. And then all these pieces that I've cut out of gold foil, just one pass of this died through my machine. This one comes in the set. So then I'm just going to add a few of those over my card. So that's the first card finished. I hope that you can see on the screen how much dimension those kind of branches being up gives the card. So then for my next card, I've got this sentiment that we made when we were doing the one for the last card. So I can just quickly put that together now. So I'm going to pop that up on some foam pads. I think now it's on the card, you can't even tell that I cut down that Christmas a little bit. So then for Father Christmas, because he has a big belly, I want to make that kind of really obvious on the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this round and I'm going to add foam pads like under that piece of his belly, but not close to the sides. So then it's going to kind of fold around and really add some dimension to his belly. So I'm just going to place these boots so I know where I want his belly. I think that just there will be fine. You can see how that roundedness is really kind of making that nice shape. And so then you can see on his face there's some lines, and those lines show you where the moustache goes and where the hat goes. So I'm going to add those on next. And then I can add the white piece to his hat. And then I'm going to use blush alcohol marker just to, I've cut the nose out in the same colour as the face because it's all on one die. So rather than die cut it in a darker shade, I'm just going to slightly colour over that just so that it's like a shade darker. And then that can go just here. And then I've got these pieces to add on to his boots. So I'll glue those on underneath the body. So I'm leaving in quite a lot of detail of how to put this together. So I think with these die cuts where there's so many pieces, they're really fun to do. But sometimes when you get the pieces out of the packet, it can be a bit confusing as to where one of the two of the pieces go. So I think it's nice to have a little guide as to where the bits go. The other thing that needs to be said on these is that there is more than one way of putting them together. There's a whole other arm, like this piece here. So I guess you can have him doing different things depending on where the mood takes you. So I'm just going to add a small piece of black behind the eyes so that that shows through. And then I've got this little piece for the mouth, which I'm going to just colour with my rouge marker, which is just slightly darker than the nose. Then I'm going to glue on the beard. And then I'm going to glue his face on above that. And then I've got these sparkles that are the melon ones from Lucy's cards. And I'm just going to that instead of a die cut to the bottom of Santa's hat. I might just add a few of the smaller ones round him as well. Then all I need to do is just layer up my card. I've got an A6 card base, so it measures 4 1/8 by 5 7/8, and then I've got this piece of gold cardstock which is 1/2 inch smaller than it, and then the green cardstock is 1/4 inch smaller than the gold. So there's that final card, and that bigger belly really adds some dimension to it and helps it pop off the card. So then for my final card, I've got a 5 inch square red card blank, then I've got a 4 1/4 inch piece of gold cardstock and a 4 inch piece of the red. And you can see I'm using the sentiment in a different way on this one. So this is the same sentiment that we used here, but instead of using this background piece, I've foiled the Christmas straight onto here, and I'm going to put the Merry above it. And I really like that you can use these in different ways, because there's not many sentiments where you could kind of have it next to each other like on the last card, or above like on this card, and kind of get two really different looks. So for this one I'm going to layer it up first, and then I'm going to add my flowers. So for this one I'm not going to use the bird, I'm just going to use this candy cane and the kind of floral and the leaves and things. So with the candy cane, it cuts like this. So I've cut it once from red cardstock and once from white. I'm actually going to just pop these pieces back into here, so it's really easy for me to know which piece goes where. And then I can really quickly put them onto the candy cane in the right order. And there's like little marks on the candy cane itself, embossed marks that you probably won't be able to see on the camera, but they kind of show you where each of these pieces goes. So then I've got my candy cane, and then I really want to add some dimension to these flowers, and I often do this with my flowers. That's the thing that I most often do in terms of adding dimension to my die cuts, because I think it adds such a big difference when you make them kind of dimensional. And like you can see, I'm not using any special tools or anything. I'm literally just using my fingers to kind of create some dimension there. So I'm going to add those two layers. You can see I've cut them in two different shades of red. The front one is slightly lighter than the back one. And then I'm going to just offset this one on top of the other one. You can see a little bit of that foam pad there, but that's fine because I'm just going to add a centre onto this. So I'm going to use another foam pad for the centre. And then there's these small bits that kind of add on to those berries as well. I think give it a nice bit of added detail. So I'm going to glue the candy cane onto my card, and then I'm going to use a foam pad to add on my flower. And the foam pad gives it dimension, but it also allows me to tuck the foliage in underneath the flower. So then I can start adding in these bits and pieces. And I kind of think I would use this set all the year round, because you've got the little bird, which obviously you don't have to put the hat on. All these foliage pieces can be used for anything. And to be honest, I feel like if you used the poinsettia in different colours, you could use it just as a generic flower. And then I'm just going to add a few of these Fashion Gold embellishments from Spellbinders. So then that's that card finished. You can see all that dimension on that flower as well. So there are 3 finished cards. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some ideas for how to add some dimension to your cards with your die cuts. I'd love to hear which is your favourite card. Please let me know in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.